Always wait now. You have to accept that I'm recording you. I can't sneakily record you and release all your secrets.
I'm about to do that myself.
Yeah. Good evening. Today I have David with me. Hi, David. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, indeed. I am David Mark. I have a cold, which means I don't normally talk like this, so apologies. I am a journalist and novelist. I write the McAvoy series and numerous other well-received critical success commercial failures. And I'm about to release my first non-fiction work. It's a memoir about living with the various things that are wrong with me. I don't know a better way to put it than that, really. It's essentially, imagine a kitchen flip-top bin, and this is like stepping on the pedal, and the top of my head's just come up, and now you can look inside at the assorted filth and just non-recyclable shit, and that's kind of the unique selling point of this of this tell-all memoir. Jesus, yeah, that doesn't sound good, does it? But apparently it's very good, but I don't know the criteria. So either way, that's me. This shambles of a twat. Nice to meet you.
And it's out tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And it is called?
It's called Peace of Mind. Peace spelt as you take a piece of my mind. A memoir of folly, melancholy, and madness, which are three of the dwarfs that didn't make it into Snow White's original tomb. I'd love to meet Madness. That'd be awesome. But yeah, Peace of Mind, a memoir of folly, melancholy, and madness.
And what made you decide to do that, to open yourself up to so much and share with everybody?
I suppose, if I'm going to be briefly sincere, I'm a communicator. I'm a writer. I'm good at explaining to people how things look and how they feel. My works of fiction have always been praised for their authenticity, the fact that the characters always feel fully formed, and they've always been thinly disguised aspects of my own character. And I kind of reached a stage where I just thought to myself, I've actually got all of this, I won't call it knowledge, but I've got all of this experience. I've lived with 40 plus years of not being quite right. And so many people misunderstand depression and misunderstand the various things that are wrong with me. They don't get it. And I kind of thought, well, I can't just keep explaining things to the people that I meet, or if it comes up in conversation. I can't keep expecting people to just know if I don't try and explain it. So I kind of just realized that it was now or never. And I was in, as far as I could imagine, the safest emotional place that I could be, to start actually looking inside my own head and thinking, I need to write about this now. I need to try and give people just a sense of what it's like, really. I don't know what they're then going to do with that information, but the knowledge seems important. It really is. It really is about saying, look, this is me, and this is your chance to walk around inside my head for a little bit and see how that feels. And there's no greater purpose to it than that. It's just, which is how it feels. Because I don't think that people who haven't got depression and addiction and OCD and mania and hear voices, if you haven't got those things, it's quite a hard thing to imagine. So this is me saying, well, it feels like this. And if you have got any of those things, then hopefully you'll read it and think, oh yeah, that's me. I'm not completely alone. I'm not. It's about being seen, I guess. About being
it's not something that you want. It's not aspirational, but it is about holding up a mirror and going, see, it's like this, but it might be okay. So that will sound a lot slicker when I've done a few more of these. But normally I'm talking about my works of fiction, and I'm just going to blah, blah. But this is actually intensely personal and important to me. So therefore, I want to give you a correct answer, which means I have to think, which isn't really good for me. So yeah, suffice to say that when I watch this back, which I invariably will, I'll hate this so much that there could be physical harm.
Right, okay. I'm not editing it though, by the way, just so
No. There will be nothing by the end. Nothing from beginning to end when I watch this back that I don't sit there looking, going, you twat, at myself. Because even though I'm getting better and I'm well, that is the self-loathing is so intrinsic to my being that unfortunately those things are just habit forming. So even if I watch it back and think to myself, oh yeah, you made sense there, Dave, or oh, that was a clever line, or oh yeah, oh look, the way the light was bouncing off your forehead was beautiful, that'll be so fleeting that I will focus entirely on the fact, God, you're an idiot. But I think that that's possibly okay. I think that might keep me, because the alternative to that was the many years where I was living life as if I genuinely believed my own bollocks about being the greatest, most marvelous human that had ever walked the earth, and had this entitlement to greatness, which was another just part of my mental illness, really. It was just this grandiosity. So yeah, suffice to say that me verbally is a lot more messy than me written down. So which leads me to the answer that you asked me for about 3 weeks ago as to why. It's because when I write things down, I realize what I really think, and I don't have to go through all of this cack. So yeah, so don't judge me. If you never read my stuff, don't judge my written work based on this. Okay. Next question.
I was gonna say you're a step better than me if you can watch these back, because I've never watched one ever, and I have no plans to. Of all the ones I've ever done, I've never watched them. Never ever. That's why I don't want to edit them. I just don't want to see.
Oh,
once I've done it, it's out, it's done, and that's it. On to the next one.
I admire that, but the thing is, it's not vanity. It's just checking that I haven't said anything that I will regret. But I've been alive for 43 years now, and I don't think I've ever said anything yet that I do regret. It's sometimes I given the benefit of hindsight, you think that wasn't necessary, but I don't. But I just like to make sure that I haven't, because I don't know what I've said. I don't know what I'm about to say until after I've just said it. And sometimes that means that I'm as shocked as you are to hear what I've just said. And I think to myself, oh shit, I best find a way to believe this, just to stick with it. Because otherwise you look like a complete turd who just turns around and goes, I don't know why I said that. No, press on, keep going, fight through. So yeah. But no, you should watch it. You should watch it back. You're very good at this. You're a good interviewer.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, when I watch it back, I'll just look at you. How's that?
That's all I do when I'm doing them. The fact that my face is there is fine, but I'm just looking at this half of the screen.
Well, I don't know if you want to know this. I'm not actually going to, but you're actually propped up on a massage table at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. There's not every office that actually comes with its own massage table. But mine really genuinely does. This is a multi-purpose massage table that has been used as a changing table for my daughter, and it has now been transformed into a slide because I've put half of it down, so she can come in, run up it in a little bare feet, slide down it while I'm making some desperate attempt to get on with my work. You see, this is the level of thought but at the moment, you're propped up on the end of it.
Okay, I'm not sure if that helps or not. I'm just okay.
It's a piece of information. What you choose to do with it is entirely your choice.
Well, you're propped on a cushion, because I'm a short ass, and otherwise, well, yeah, certain angles. Anyway.
Oh no, I sometimes teach creative writing through Zoom, and I try and be a little bit more polished than I am when I'm just being me. But there were times during lockdown where I get more animated while talking, and the phone's fallen, and revealed to the class that I look relatively smart from the waist up. But you know, when suddenly you realise that the screen is filled with your pink knees, and you think, oh, just go with it.
Could be much worse. At least you're dressed, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually, when I come to tell that story again, I think I might embellish upon it. That's you've got to keep that level, haven't you? You want things to work out in a way that would be a good story, but not get you arrested. So
yeah, definitely don't want to be arrested.
not anymore. No, the mattresses are very thin. They really are.
It kind of reminds me about what we were talking about before as well, and especially from that angle, that just wouldn't be good.
Good Lord, yes. For reference, for those who aren't familiar with our conversation from before, in fact, no, I'm going to leave that vague, and then people can just guess. I think that's more interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not telling them, so. Oof. I just caught something on the TV as well. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Are you watching the telly while you're interviewing me?
I'm a woman. I can multitask. What can I say?
Excellent. That's okay. You know what? I don't feel hurt. I actually think it's good to have a backup plan. Like if I just start wittering on, you can just catch up on your telly. I think that's a good idea.
Generally, I've got QI on and it's on mute because, you know, I'm interviewing you and stuff. Generally, the word penis is just flashed up on the screen in big black white writing.
Excellent. Either that or you're actually having like Freudian flashes now. And the telly isn't even on.
I wish you could see that. Yeah, anyway. But we're here to talk about books.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm meant to be the face of depression now. And look at me just giggling away and being silly.
I know. Honestly, can't get the bloody authors.
No,
One job you have.
This is one of the tricky bits I've discovered actually, is that I've been known for a long time. I've been an author for 10 years now, and I've done okay, and I've had some bestsellers and whatnot. But I'm always quite. People seem to like the way I won't say perform, but the way I talk about stuff. You know, I'm always quite cheerful and enthusiastic and a bit subversive. But it's a bit weird to talk about this book with my usual joviality, because the whole essence of the book is saying that this joviality is kind of like a coat you put on over the swamp that's on the inside. But similarly, if I suddenly start talking to you and just there's nothing within the swamp that people would want to actually read, you know what I mean? So I know that you should be able to take off your armor. That's great. I know that you should be able to go through life without that carapace around you all the time. But then, if all that's underneath is just your vulnerability and your terror, that doesn't really lend itself to communication. So it's tricky. I must admit, I don't know quite whether to just hold myself and rock back and forth to demonstrate the authenticity of my condition, or whether I should be myself, which is, you know, somebody who can live okay on the froth level, while everything underneath is just dead eels. You know, it's a strange feeling. I'm just going to go with whatever comes out and see what occurs. But if I do suddenly start to sob or shriek, I just think that's more likely to make this sort of a trending hit. This is the world we live in. So,
yeah. if you start to cry, I will cry. I'm fine until men cry, and then I completely lose it. It's weird.
If you start to cry, this would have been one of my, up until relatively recently. If you start to cry, I would take that as being a symbolic reaction that you would have been put in front of my way to demonstrate this to me. This would be for me. This would have been a universal sign that you were sad and that it was my duty to fix that, and that nothing else mattered. And that if I could fix you, maybe it would fix me, and maybe it would fix the universe too. So I would do whatever it took. Nothing else would matter other than fixing you. So that would have I'd have either talked to you until there was nothing left in me. I'd have given you money, like just to solve your problems, whatever they might be. If I had money, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. You take that, or probably slept with you. I mean, if you wanted to, you know, that like not as a sort of, here you go, this will fix everything. But there was very much what I referred to, and what other people in my life have referred to as the divine penis approach to life. That I used to think, well, you know, I'll just give you that, whatever it is that you need, I am here. This is what the universe has given me. But thankfully, I'm 43 now, and I've got no, that hubris has gone. The desire for you to be well and happy and healthy and to go through life and being all that you can be, that remains absolutely at the core of who I am. I no longer think that it's beholden on me to fix it, which apparently is progress, but means that you don't get my money or me, really. So I can only apologise for that.
Just ruined my day.
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about writing a memoir, is you've got to look back at who you have been, and therefore you realise it's also who you are, and that's the most excruciating bit, because you look back at the things you've thought, the things you've said, the things you've been, and if you can look at it and feel not too bad about who you've been, then that's positive. But if you're realizing how much of how you've behaved and whatnot has been a direct manifestation of an illness, it's very hard not to, if you don't want sympathy, but you want a whiff of understanding, it's really difficult to know how to put that across to people, just to say, look, I know I was a complete and total knobhead, and I know I probably still am. But can I just say that part of that was because it was this, and this. But I'm aware that it was still me being the knobhead. I get that. But if maybe you want to know these things, maybe you don't. I'm still having that conversation in my own head on a daily basis as to whether people should, how much compassion you should extend to people, how much of somebody's mental health problems should be considered as an explanation, what's an excuse. You know, when does personal responsibility end? If you've got a condition that means you act in a way that is beyond your control. I have answers to none of these things, Donna. I have no answers at all, but I have many, many articulate ways of asking the question. Can you imagine living in this brain? Honestly, it's. I mean, I find your brain very interesting too, because I think it's the same shape as mine. I honestly, you know, those things when you're a kid and you've got to put the star through the star and the half moon through the half moon. Writers and readers, our brains would all fit through the same slot, which is sensitive and existential and confused and a bit cross. And we like old books and tea and cake, and we hate racists and people who don't recycle. and simultaneously we'd like to kill people from the right, and it's so there you go. It's a one size fits all mentality, really.
Yeah, stop looking in my head.
Oh, right, go on, you speak now. I'm tiring myself out.
Oh, how honest were you? Is there everything? Did you get everything out, or is there still stuff that you held back?
Oh, there's stuff. I didn't. It wasn't a moral choice to hold anything back. It was I'm aware that the purpose of the book is to be. It is a book, so it has to have a certain level of ebb and flow, and there has to be a certain degree of. It has to be light and shade. So I had to make some choices about how much light, how much shade. But it doesn't mean that I've abandoned those aspects. There just might be, if people respond to this, there might be other books. So I mean, some of the more cinematically deplorable things that I've done over the years, I didn't want anybody to think that I was sort of aggrandizing it or making it seem like, I did all these, what a legend kind of ideas, because a lot of it is excruciating and awful and sordid, but also quite entertaining. So I think there might be another book somewhere down the line where I look at the more with Neil and I aspects of my life, and also there's certain bits about family life and things that I don't feel any shame in talking about, but similarly, I thought there was sufficient material not to have to impinge on anybody else's right to tell their own story. So I'm hopeful that nobody who reads this will be in any way upset by it. But similarly, it is a story that it's my heart and soul and memories and brain and all that I am is on the page. And, people who have been witness to that and in some ways not contributed to it, but certainly have woven themselves in and out of the story. I can't tell my story without also including them. So I don't think I would hate to paint any villains. The whole point of this is that the evil within it is the illness. The baddie of the piece is the illness. The people within it are trying to keep me alive while this illness tries to kill me. And that's the hardest bit to explain to people, because you know yourself the amount of times that you get asked these well-intentioned but preposterous questions, like, well, what's causing it? What have you got to be depressed about? Oh, you don't seem depressed. Or, oh, I didn't realize. And, you're screaming inside your head, how could you not realize? And it's because you've done such a good job at hiding your trauma and pushing it down and wearing this acceptable, like meat suit that you carry through life. And then you're surprised when people don't realize that within that, you're falling apart. So I think that's one of the harder aspects of it, is that for people who haven't been aware of just what's been going on inside me, I think that's been a bit of a revelation. But it's also surprised me completely that it was a revelation, because I didn't think anybody really believed that I was okay when I said I was okay. But that's the hard bit. Do people really want to know? Like, do they really want to know? Because if you ask me, am I all right, and I give you the answer, you're going to be headed for the hills. That's more than you can possibly bite off. So you pick somebody who purports to love you, and and they have some involvement in your well-being, so you wouldn't burden yourself in that direction. and you give them like this much, you just give them just a surface, and they get sad and upset and defensive and hypersensitive, and you think, oh, okay, I've only given you that much. Yeah, so it's fine. Yeah, sorry, and then you go back inside, and there are millions upon millions of people all around the world living in that mindset right at this very moment. And I suppose that's kind of what I was wanting to reveal, to say, look, if you actually rip this off, this is what's underneath. And what we do next is the interesting bit, really. I don't suppose it's really up to me to provide a solution, but at least if people understand a bit more, that might help. But then I don't know about you, I say the same stupid shit to people that absolutely destroys me when they say it to me. They say, come on, let's talk about it. What sparked all this off? And you think to yourself, if somebody said that to me, I want to punch you in the jaw. But it's well intentioned, and you hope that people will afford you that it's well intentioned. But really, when you're in a state of depression and despair and all hope is gone, really, all you're looking for is more reasons to hate yourself. So the fact that somebody says something as simple as, well, you don't seem that depressed. Yeah, that could be such I can't even do depression right. Read the book. Read the book.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, and I haven't made any secret that I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I always think of it like acting. Like I act my part at work, and then I act my part doing this, and I act my part at home, and then as soon as I'm on my own, then my head does what it does. But then also when you're in those situations, your depression and anxiety is going around in your head and like telling you things and like, no, don't say that, and what did you say that for, and they're going to think this, and you're just trying to have a conversation and your head's just like, fuck it with you, and it's hard.
It never stops. It's the relentlessness of it, and to be honest, you don't get any respite from it at all. It's all very well, do something that you love. You don't. When you're depressed, you don't love anything. The best you can do is self-medicate with your vice of choice, but then that becomes all you've got, and that's not good for you either. And it totally veils the problems that need to be addressed. So you're left with that's why so many people with depression just collapse in on themselves, go to bed, and don't leave, and just hold themselves tight, is because that micro world is almost manageable. Nothing can get me in this little cocoon, but that's also not living. So and there's a big gap between when you get there and when depression first starts. So really, I'd love for people who perhaps don't suffer with depression to perhaps be a little bit more cognizant about those early warning signs, those indicators that people are on a downward slope. Because it's easier to help somebody when they're just running downhill than when they've crashed at the bottom. But that sounds dangerously close to being like some sort of self-help guide. And I don't really think I can do that.
I know what you mean though, and it's like, I mean, just because you suffer doesn't mean you know the answers either. You know what has worked for you is working for you, but that doesn't mean that's going to work for anyone else. So I know what you mean.
I always try and think in terms of analogies and whatnot, and it's like if I only had one leg, I could probably give some advice to somebody else who just got that. You could be. Have you considered hopping? Or can we do a deal on shoes? And you can look at pragmatic solutions there. But like with depression, all you can literally do is just say, please don't die. Please please don't give in. Please don't kill yourself, because then you've let this. I hate this idea that suicide is a weakness or is a coward's way. Oh, I hate that so much. It makes me so angry. It is just your illness has killed you. That's what it is. And that illness is such a horrible, nasty, venomous, insidious bastard that doesn't deserve that victory. The way to kill that illness is for you to live a life that has grace and joy and love and achievement and feeling, you know. And when it comes to that suicidal feeling that I want to end it now, yeah, you want to end it now, you do. 15 minutes from now, you might not. So let's do those 15 minutes. Let's get through that, and then let's see what happens after that. And let's try that next 15 minutes too, because every bad feeling that you reach, you might not realize it, but you've had that bad feeling before, and you've got better, and it will keep happening. And the same way that the weather will always come, it will. The same way that if you've got better, there's a good chance that your depression will come back, you know, and you've got to be aware of that. But you've also got to be aware that there is a way in which you can live and experience and feel and not just feel wretched. You know, all of those things that make you want to not be here. There's a flip side to that. If you can find it, if you can tune in your radio to that, where everything is joyous and glorious and real. And I've got no way of getting you there, but I know that what you're feeling at the worst of times, that isn't a representation of how life is either. So just don't say I'm going to live forever, but just try and be strong for that next little bit and that little bit after. So yeah, that's one of the few things I'm passionate about. That, and I can give you a list of things that I hate, people that I hate, and I'm passionate in my hatred of those. But in terms of things that I believe everybody should write. Not everybody should write publication, and some of the people who are writing publication should stop. I believe that no, that's about everything I've got, really. I don't know why when you're watching the boxing and you paid 20 quid for it, you've still got to watch the fucking adverts. I don't know why that's the case. And I don't think the cold medication works. Other than that, that's where my passions end. Have you got birds, by the way? Is there something squawking at your house?
Yeah, it was our attempt to have something alive in the house after we had lost the dog. So yeah, we have two budgies. Okay.
Well, I mean, I was horribly sad to hear about your dog. That's awful. That makes honestly, my glasses steam up at the very thought of animals being there. But yeah, that's just this is a good example of how there is nothing that one can say that will help. But I'm sending you a fulsome cannon blast of good wishes, and a wish that hadn't happened, because it's awful. But nevertheless, you've got budgies now, and you spend half your life interviewing authors. So there's going to be a lot of people going, "Have you got birds?" So if I was you, I'd consider investing in one of those lovely floral things that you put over the cage.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do something. They were really shy because we've only had them not even a week, I don't think, or have we? I think we've had them a week, but now they're coming out their shell a bit, and they're noisy little fuckers, as you can hear.
They are. You realise that within another week you're going to be referring to them as those fucking budgies.
Yeah, I'm not far. Maybe a couple of days off of that already.
Yeah. I've got 2 cats and a dog, and 5 children. So yeah,
I'm very aware how you can simultaneously feel great love and an extraordinary level this is just too much for a human head to contain. So yeah, so I admire the Bungie choice. That's and they live for a while as well, so we don't have to deal with any grief for a while. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
done with grief. That's not fun. Didn't like that.
yeah. I mean, grief is a perfect. It's the closest thing to depression that you can imagine. I mean, I always think of depression as being the complete absence of hope, like the annihilation of even the faintest possibility of hope. That is depression to a T. And grief, people say, you know, there are several stages of grief, and you will get over it. You don't even get that with depression, because you don't, because it's temporary. This is awful. This is forever. This is just endless. So yeah, given your own history and grief on top, you're doing very well, really. Give yourself some credit, I say.
Outwardly, I'm doing fine. Inwardly, yeah.
Well, that's the English way, isn't it? As long as we're fine outwardly, we feel like we're winning on some weird level. But yeah, we are human beings have not really got used to ourselves yet, have we?
No, we're idiots and we're weird and we have our little things, and yeah, I mean, we're just out to fuck each other up in the head, and I don't know, there's no hope really.
Well, we don't know what we're for. That's the difficulty. You know, I mean, there's a chapter in the book about this, but when you get metaphysical and existential and start imagining and start like panning out, and you realize that we're just this sentient dust blowing across the surface of a big blue ball in space, and we're worried about things. I mean, it's insane, isn't it? It's like genuinely insane that we're worried about anything, because it's all so fleeting. So all I can do is worry about big stuff. So I worry about the people that I love, and I worry about whether or not I'm fulfilling my potential, and whether I'm putting in as much as I would like to get out, and things like that. But the other things, God, it just seems absurd, you know. But I'm fortunate enough that my anxiety's always been kind of a weird one. It hasn't been generalized anxiety. Mine's been very much specific anxiety. But people who live with generalized anxiety, it breaks my heart for them, because the whole world is a source of terror, and the best thing you can wish for is kind of like an empty white room without incident. And for how long? Like forever? You know, it's just it does. It breaks my heart. It really does. But yeah, there's a generalized anxiety is one of the worst things imaginable and the hardest things to understand. So I'm making it my business to understand that better at the moment, because I've had anxiety all my life, but they've been about specific things, and a lot of them have had causal effect, things like that. And now I don't really think to get anxiety because I'm so busy sort of attacking the world. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's certainly stopped me worrying about stuff. But then by the same token, the things I do worry about, I worry about so much that it drives me completely insane, literally insane. So yeah. So as you can see, I've totally worked out when I think about stuff. I am at peace.
Yes. See, that's what I think. I think when you've got a certain mindset, or maybe just because, like you say, because like readers and writers have different brains, but you know, if you went to talk to someone, which they always suggest when you have depression, that you could actually end up turning it round, and you're saying, but actually, you know, but what's the point? You know, we're going to die anyway. What's the point? And they can't answer that, because no one can answer that. And then they'll just look at you and think, oh, fuck's sake, like, what the hell do I do with this person? Because I don't know.
It's very difficult for me to see. I never see somebody's office, right? So I don't know if this is like an absence of something in my brain, but if I'm in a restaurant, for example, I don't see that guy's a businessman, this person's the waiter, that person's the barman, right? So therefore, I should address them appropriately for their office. I see there's a bloke, there's a bloke, there's a lady, there's a bloke, and they're just wearing different outfits, but they're just a meat sack. That's all they are. So I can't get on board with the idea that this one should be deferential, but that one should be deferential to me. And it's all bullshit. I can't bear it. So I'm the same when I go to the doctors or psychiatrist. I think, well, you've done 3 years training, but great, and I'd love it if you can help me. But you're just a person sat there, like I'm a person sat here. And if you had all the answers, you wouldn't be sat here in this nasty little health centre, would you? You'd be somewhere else. So getting past these preconceptions about the point of accessing help is a big part of the depression battle, because that's your illness as well. That's your illness whispering inside your brain. You don't need to go and see anyone. We've got this. They're just going to come back on you. They're going to lie to you. And if they do that kind of truth, it'll be a synthetic truth. We know the truth, and it's strange because your depression can feel like it's doing you good. It can feel like it's your only friend. It can feel like it's the only one with its arm around you saying they don't understand, but I understand. And it's only as you experience something approximating real feeling and real love and real compassion, as you realize that the way your depression treats you isn't a way that you would treat somebody that you love. The way your depression treats you doesn't want you to be happy. It wants you to be miserable through the floor. And it wants to keep you just to the very precipice of death. That's where it wants you to live. And I don't think that's something that you want in your life, really. So I think that if there is help to be accessed, then access that help. That leads us on to how the fuck do you access help in Britain in 2021? Yeah, I'm hoping that if this book sells to sufficient levels, I'll not only be able to pay off my mountain of debts, but actually be able to pay for a proper shrink who can deal with some of this stuff. Because even though I have got a massive long history of psychiatric illness, once you've been declared well, if I go into crisis, I am no higher up the list of people waiting to see someone. I basically have to be assessed again and then put back to the bottom of the list. And then currently the waiting times where I live is about 11 months to speak to somebody. So you can pay for it, but then you talk for an hour, you pay your 70 quid, and then they boot you out onto the street. And then you've got to wait another week to go back in and pay them another 70 quid to talk about your pain. And I know they have to make a living, but it's just so counterintuitive to something that is compassion-based. So again, another problem that I've identified but cannot solve, which is very much the problem. So
yeah, and God forbid you can't afford to pay for your own and have to rely on the NHS, which is just appalling. Although actually, to be fair, they've been quite good with me. But yeah, we shall see if that continues.
Yeah, it's at different areas. They've got different strengths, and the thing is, you've got to be at pains to say it's not the individuals. There's so many decent people who've got such good intentions, but they can't fix everybody. And with COVID and with lockdowns, so many more people are identifying these symptoms, and it's almost as if the people who have really serious mental health disorders beforehand are almost like stepping back and saying, no, let's deal with these newcomers, because at least we've got experience of this. These poor people who are feeling worthless, pointless, and what's it all about for the first time in their life there's almost a part of me that thinks, you poor buggers, but what took you so long? No?
Exactly that. Yeah.
These people who, whose whole sense of their inner life, of their own sense of worth as a person, comes down to their golf handicap and the fact that they've got the new Audi with a personalised number plate. And I just think to myself, you poor sods, because if those things are taken away from you, like they were in lockdown, and you couldn't use those symbols of your worth, you've got to look inside. You've got to think, what's my value as a person? What am I bringing to this world? And that must be, if you've never thought of those questions before, can you imagine? It just must be like getting the worst kicking of your life. And then you've got to reach out to this society that you believe exists, where these people will scoop up the needy and take care of them. And you feel like saying, no, you voted all that away. This is, it's a situation that isn't perfect, Donna. Let's be honest.
Yeah, far from it.
Yeah, it's sometimes this is the trouble, is that you've got to be able to identify the little battles that you can win. So why did I write the book? It's because I think about this stuff all the time, and if by writing it it sort of draws attention to it, then that helps. If it connects with somebody, then that helps. If it helps people better understand a little bit about me, that helps. If it's just the catharsis of getting all of this stuff out onto the page, I believe in that completely. That helps. So there's a lot of benefits to it. The only downside to it is that it leaves me very vulnerable and very exposed. But I'm all right with that, really, because I've never really felt anything other than that. It's just that I've had a relatively convincing suit of armour on. But you don't want to live through. You can't live your life with a suit of armour on, because otherwise anybody who tries to hug you doesn't reach you. They only get the armour. So I'm very fortunate in my life that I have love. I have somebody. I have many people actually whose love changes the vibration of my heart. And the idea that I'd keep them at arm's length because of the need for my defences, it's just doing that's such a life half lived. So really, there's times I regret it. There is times I regret it because you're so exposed and so vulnerable, and you're like an upturned crab. Everything is there on display, but I would so much rather be this guy than every other version of this guy that I've been. That's not to say that there isn't an awful lot of work to be done, but I'm not much as I like Russell Brand. I can't see myself becoming a guru anytime soon. I believe you shouldn't keep hold of your resentments, but I believe that there is a lot of health benefits to rage, and I can't see myself getting rid of my rage anytime soon. The day that I don't want to put my foot through Radio 4 as I'm driving along, I'll think that's it. I've sort of given up, and also that sense of pursuit, that sense of surging after a goal. That has been my whole life. That has been my drive. And I'm a little bit better. In fact, no, I'm a lot better than I used to be in terms of actually stopping and thinking, look what I've got now. This is terrific. But there's still that voice in my head that says, don't tempt fate. Don't you dare stop and act like you've got it made, because you know what's going to happen next. And that's your illness. That is your illness. But it's such a convincing bastard of an illness. So yes, that's. I think about 3 weeks ago there was a question that I answered.
Yeah, maybe. Don't know.
We got onto birds.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
And the only other thing really that I would want to ask, well, you're releasing the book after starting the Kickstarter campaign. So firstly, did you try and go traditionally published, or did you always want to do it that way? And then secondly, how can people donate if they want to?
Cool. Well, essentially, I've been in two minds about the way publishing is going for the past 3 or 4 years, really. It's very, very difficult to. Well, that's an understatement of the century. It's almost impossible if you're an established writer who's in what we call the mid list. It's almost impossible to suddenly bubble up and have a massive hit. There are people who do it and it delights you completely. Like Sarah Pinborough, right? She'd written all the great books, and then suddenly one book went boom. And it delighted me because she's a great person and she's a great writer and she deserved it. But they are very, very few and far between. And I'm kind of okay with the fact that my fiction has a hardcore of people who like it. It might be that one book does better than the last, but by and large they sell and they do okay, and they get good reviews. But I was very aware that I was doing something that was different and to be honest, more important to me. But I was also aware that the chances of a publishing house giving me a significant advance when I'm not a mental health expert, I'm not a blogger, I'm not famous for anything else, I'm not a celebrity. I haven't had a highly publicized battle with anything. I'm a guy who's lived with this awful illness and many others for many years. So it seems to me like I'm the person that should be writing about it, but I also know the business. So long story short, when I'd written it, I did put it out to a few different people who all said the same thing, which was that it was brilliantly written. It was raw and real and powerful and funny and uplifting and all the things you want to hear. But they all ended with, "But we don't know what to do with it." Which is kind of what I've expected anyway. And so I knew it was good, I knew it was powerful, but I also knew that it wasn't going to be going 2 for a £5 in Tesco anytime soon. So I just thought, well, balls to it, I'll do it myself. I've self-published a couple of things in the past and they got picked up by a publisher afterwards anyway. So I thought, well, I may as well just do it. But then I thought, well, I haven't got enough money to pay the window cleaner. I've got I would have to work as in a proper job for about 3 years to get back to zero. That's the kind of the level that I'm at. So I thought, well, I can't just suddenly put it on the credit card because who the hell would give me a credit card? So the only way that I can do this is to say to people, look, I want to do this and will you help? Will you give us, just a few quid or retweets or, just raise awareness? This is the book I want to write. I want to bring it out. I want people to know about it. So will you help? So I set up a Kickstarter, which I didn't know what Kickstarter was on the Friday. And by the Monday, I had one. And yeah, people, I think it was 4 days. We went through the funding target, because people could see that it was something I really believed in, and that, I genuinely am passionate about this. So yeah, so that's raised the money to make sure that we can do actual physical copies. They'll be coming out next month, and the ebook comes out on the 24th, so people can read it now. And it means that I can do some publicity and actually pay for some adverts and whatnot. People do lose sight of the fact that there's this lovely idea that self-publishing and Kindle direct publishing and things has leveled the playing field, which it has up to a certain point. But you can tip the playing field in your favour if you chuck several £1,000s worth of advertising at it. I don't have several £1,000s of advertising. What I have is me and an ability to write well. So I just thought, let's give myself the best possible chance, even if it's just a few £100 to actually, get it in the right waft it in the right faces. So I've done it myself, and some really nice, decent, talented people have contributed their own time to making sure it looks right and that it's edited to a professional standard, and that I don't make a complete tit of myself more than no accidental tit making. It's all guaranteed the way it's meant to be. So if you go on Kickstarter, look for Peace of Mind, David Mark, or if you put in anything, any of those keywords, it'll take you there. And if you do, basically you can just buy a copy of the book that contributes to the pile, or if you want to put in a bit more. And there's various pages. You can have a creative writing session with me. You can have me edit your manuscript, whatever you like, really. I don't sleep very much anyway, so it's not really a problem. I can meet my commitments. But yeah, it's all kind of, it's going well. So the next thing, hopefully there'll be enough money from this particular one for me to do an audiobook version. If there's not, I might have to rethink and do that later in the year. But I would love to do an audiobook version of it, because I think that sometimes people in the middle of a mental health crisis, even the act of reading is too much. But if I can do it on an audiobook, and you can literally just hug a pillow and put an earpod in, it's something. So so that's next. So yes, thank you to everybody who's contributed, and to those who haven't contributed, I'm sure that you have a good reason. That's between you and your conscience, and I don't want to guilt trip you into giving this mentally ill man few shiny pennies to make this one incredibly worthy dream come a step closer to reality. But apparently that's the wrong attitude for me to take when it comes to promotions and marketing. Whereas I think it's the only attitude to take to promotions and marketing. Because if I look out my window, there are so many people walking past who've got money, and I'm sat here and I've got none. And that just seems absurd, really, because I have one exceptional talent, and I can't understand why that isn't paying for stuff. It seems ridiculous. But there you go. You know that feeling as well as I do. So.
And I did actually share the link earlier on my group. So if anyone wants to contribute, they can.
You have done more than enough. you are, yes. You actually get a thank you in the acknowledgements at the back, because you're rather marvellous, and because you do so much for the writing community anyway, all out of the goodness of your heart. So don't ever think you're not appreciated, because you genuinely are. Well, you are by me anyway. I can't speak for the group. There might be people out there who don't like you at all, but don't think about them.
Yeah, God forbid.
I'm giving you massive, effusive love. There you go.
Well, it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Well, unless there's anything else that you wish to tell us, then I guess we should end.
No, it's just other than don't judge the book on this. They are separate entities, even though the book is a perfect example of how it feels to be me. What I'm giving you now verbally is not a perfect example of how it feels to be me. Does that make any sense at all?
It does to me, but then our heads work the same way, so
Donna, I don't know whether we get 5 viewers or 5,000, so I'm only talking to you. That's basically. I don't know who else is out there.
Yeah, maybe a couple of people, and then that's it. So yeah, it's fine.
Those who don't find their way to you, more fool them, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, listen. Thank you for your help with all this, by the way. It's appreciated. It really is. And let me know what you think of the book as well. That's not just to you, that's to the world.
Awesome. And just remind everyone where they can get it from.
Amazon. Yeah, another month's time you should be able to get it in a few other bookshops as well. But that all depends. The reason that Amazon is so popular is because you can actually get what you want from them in a timely manner. So yeah, if you just go on Kindle,
from midnight tonight. You'll be able to download it straight away. I think it's $3.99, which is pretty much as the cheapest I could do it, and still, occasionally be able to eat. Yeah, the paperbacks will be $9.99 when they come out next month. But yeah, if you can't operate Google, really, you're largely obsolete as a person. So you've got bigger problems than me.
Yeah, I'll post the link tomorrow anyway when it comes.
That's kind of you. Thank you.
I think I've already given you a release date post.
I think you've done more than your fair share, put it that way.
It's important, so it's a pleasure.
Well, I'm going to go and make my my Lemsip Frappuccino now. It's a way of getting better, but while still pretending to be middle class. And then I'm going to go and write the next book. I'm back in the world of fiction again, which is so much safer. It really is. Yeah. So next time I talk to you, it'll be about my next thriller, and I can talk with absolute just froth about the importance of this stuff, and hopefully you by that point know what's really going on the inside.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be helpful, but
which is the perfect time, actually. When life gives you those little artistic moments. My phone just flashed up with low battery, 10% remaining, and I actually realised that was referring to myself rather than to the phone. So that was ideal.
Awesome. Well, I shall let you go then.
It's been good to talk to you, and please just keep me informed of your own developments. Yes,
I will.
This is advice for anybody who thinks that they might be on a slightly slippery slope. Is you might think you're being strong by not asking for help or not opening up. You're not being strong. You're just letting your illness win, and your illness is a twat, which was actually going to be the title of the book. But Peace of Mind has got a little bit more literary merit to it. But yeah, don't ever lose sight of the fact that your illness is a twat. Okay, good to speak to you.
You too, and take care and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.